This is Tabor Nash with Nash Motorcycle Company. We're on Shop Talk with 𝐵𝐷iamondleather.
Everything that happens is motivation. Everything that happens is motivation.
Just some of the stuff about what we're doing today with this Shop Talk. So Tabor's out of Southern California, but we're not down there, he's up here. And so we grabbed the opportunity to sit down and chop it up with him. All right, so Tabor, tell me about some of the stuff you got out here.
So these are some of the products that we do. Cast. This is just our regular hammer. This is like actually the first one that I put out, and this one's actually black chrome, so we don't do a whole lot of these. It's a little bit more of a little bit more custom. We use Tennessee hickory for all the handles, and then these ones all right here. This is a collaboration that me and Jason Momoa did together. This is the double knuckle hammer. This is the knuckle chopper, which is like one of the more kind of, I don't know, sought after pieces, and then we got into doing full-size axes. So the knuckle axe, this one's a bronze.
Oh, that's really cool. I don't know if that translates over on video, but that looks really rad. Now you call him the knuckler, or the knuckle, what'd you call it?
Yeah, this is a knuckle chopper, we actually call it, and it's really just a, kind of, a nod to the knucklehead engine.
Okay.
Is what that is. So knuckle rocker boxes, and yeah, started doing some products together years ago, and turned into that, and so yeah, we do a bunch of other tools and leather products. All this stuff's done in house. We have these hammer hangers that we do that you can hang them off your frame rail, handlebars, wherever.
I did. So we actually luck out. So Tabor has a rad shop called Nash Motorcycles down in Southern California, and I'll post links to his stuff below. There's so many things that encompass you, right? You're a spiritual guy.
Definitely.
You are a bike builder.
Yes.
You build rad tools.
Yep.
And tell us more about you.
I guess on the motorcycle end of things, I started doing this years ago just for, I started off doing car stuff, and I didn't love doing the car stuff. That's not true. I love doing the car stuff as well, but I bought like my first Harley when I was 17. Mm-hmm. So, first thing you do when you buy a Harley is you start doing stuff to it, and just started chopping up my first bike, and then kind of went full into it.
What kind of bike was it?
Years later, it was a Sportster. Yeah, 86 Sportster, 883. I punched it out, made it into a 1200, and changed the bike several different times. And then when I started up Nash Motorcycle Company, I actually took that bike and stripped it down and completely chopped the frame and stretched it and just made it into this crazy piece of work.
Yeah.
And a funny story with that, when I was getting my first bike, partially I got a Sportster because of the price, but I went and looked at this shovel head, this old biker guy. He might have even been a club guy, I don't know, but he had this shovel head. It was in Salem, Oregon, and it was like 18-inch ape hangers on it. This thing was just, I was hanging on this thing. And I go over there, and I'd never ridden a shovel head before. I'd ridden a few other bikes, but the dude kicks it over, kick only bike, and he's like, "You want to take it for a ride?" I'm like, "You sure?"
Yeah.
and I take off, and I went and cruised around on that shovel head, and it was amazing. And I got back, and I was like, fell in love with the old bikes instantly just from that. But for whatever reason, I didn't get that bike. But I kind of always kick myself because I'm like, I should have bought the shovel, because that would have been a cooler story than a Sportster. But there's nothing wrong with Sportsters. I love Sportsters.
Yeah.
They
nothing at all.
They definitely there's a lot you can do with them. I mean, especially when you get into Ironhead Sportsters and any of them.
Well, and really, I mean, I would say half the bikes that I've built have half of them been Sportsters.
Yeah.
Because I mean, something came around and it was like, oh, this guy only wants $1,500 for that 1200.
Yeah.
Well, crap, I'll buy that $1,500 1200 and turn it into something cool. It's still a cool bike. Cool bike's a cool bike.
Right. Yeah.
So, spiritually, let's talk about that if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the things that my subscribers may or may not know about me is I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as are you.
What are they? Oh, I am.
Are you?
Am I? What do they call those guys? Mormons?
Mormons.
Oh yeah.
Are you a
those
Mormon?
Mormons. Yeah, I am I am a member of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reason I bring it up is because one of the segments that I've always wanted to do is, and this might actually be kind of the first one on top of being Shop Talk, is Rad Mormons.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people don't realize that there's some pretty rad Mormons out there.
Yeah.
You know, and we're sitting here with one of them right now. I grew up, so my older brother
The
was,
Mormon that just got arrested.
we all have things that happen. I mean, it happens. But my brother, his best friend growing up was a guy by the name of Jeff Jesse. And Jeff Jesse's Jason Jesse's older brother.
Yeah.
And so growing up, Jason Jesse and I knew, you know, he's a member of the church. I don't know if he's active, but I know he was, at least last time I talked to him. But there's some pretty rad members of the church.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I have, you know, I being in Southern California, I have a lot of friends that are in that area that are really great guys that are, you know, just, I think there's just a lot of stigmas and, you know, miscalculations of what people think about a Mormon.
Yep.
And I've, you know, all the years I've been doing this, you know, Nash Motorcycle Company for 25 years, and I've had guys that I've known for so many years in the industry, and they have no idea that I'm a member of the church. And then we'll finally have like that conversation that kind of gets spiritual, and you start talking about, you know, their beliefs.
Yep.
And they're always like, dude, I knew there was something about you like that, you know, because I used to take my family to all the events, and, you know, we would go hang out and play putt at night, and everybody else would go off, and, you know, they were going to the bars and drinking and partying, and you know, I just would bring my family, and we would have a peaceful time, and we would, you know, go to church sometimes when we were out of town in Daytona Beach or whatever, you know. So it's there's a side of it that is kind of unseen, but anyways, like the people that I've met over the years has definitely been interesting to see their reaction after they find out that I am a member of the church.
Same.
But it's good. It's good. It's always a good reaction, and it actually like brings a level of I don't know, humility and respect, I think, to the conversation.
No, I always get, besides, you're a Mormon? Oh, I would have suspected that you drank and, you know, smoked weed. Matter of fact, I've never done a drug in my life, but it's always, and granted, I mean, I don't look like the average member of the church. I get that too.
Sure.
But I've been a member of the church since I was born, and then, you know, baptized at 8, and it's, people need to realize that the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are just like everybody else. Yeah. We have our values, we have the things that we do and don't do, but doesn't mean we're not rad. Doesn't mean we're not doing rad stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, it's you know, you get that stereotypical, like, you know, that stereotypical Mormon. You know, they go on a mission and they come home and they, you know, get a job being an accountant or something. I don't know, like. But there's so many guys that's not how it is, and there's so many guys that are just real doing a lot of good, you know, with anything you get the negativity and the bad that people talk about. Something, and that's usually what shines more than, you know, the good dudes that are just normal, like, you know, blue collar workers, hardworking, love their families, love the Lord, and you know, try to live their lives in a good way.
That's true. So what got you into motorcycles? Do you just liked them at 17 or what?
Yeah, like, you know, in high school I had multiple jobs. You know, I was working at like Big O Tire. I was working for the family landscape business. I was wrenching on cars in the back shop at my parents' house, and I was making money. Like, I always had a wad of money in my pocket, and I was like, dude, I can like afford a motorcycle now. And I didn't grow up around bikes. I mean, you know, I had some friends and stuff that had bikes, and I got to ride a little bit as we went along, but as I went throughout my life, but I didn't get to ride that much. So I kind of always wanted that. And so, you know, I think it was like at 15, I was like, getting my license soon.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a bike, you know, and I started looking at bikes, and I'm like, you know, that's pretty cool. Yamaha's all right. The Honda's cool. Like, oh, I could get like a little Honda 250. You know, like, it started off very basic in my mind, and then I was like, what am I thinking? I'm just going to get like a Harley. Like, and that love of motorcycles comes back, you know, and I did this other video years ago, and I talked about this, but like I lived in Grass Valley, California for a couple years when I was a kid, and there was a lot of club guys back then in that area. And I remember a couple of times, and there was one specific day, it was like a Saturday, and we were like in the downtown area, walking along the sidewalk with my family, and I just heard this rumble off in the distance. And I was like, what is that? You know, it's like, is that an airplane? Is that a bunch of B-51s flying overhead, or like a B-17 or something? And, you know, I realized it was motorcycles. And then, you know, as it got closer and closer, I was like, oh, dude, what are those guys? You know, and it's like, it's a bunch of club guys that, you know, ape-hangers, you know, traditional handlebars, you know, panheads, knuckleheads, shovelheads. And I was just like, stood there in awe as they drove by.
Yeah.
And that, I think, really more than anything kind of set the spark of, like, you know, the love of vintage motorcycles and just, you know, that feeling of the ride, you know, not necessarily because I'm probably the most like motorcycle chopper guy there is, you know. Again, you know, like going to events and showing up with my family and doing that for so many years. And like, you know, I'm not that guy that's like vested up and, you know, full leathers and the whole kit. I kind of have my style, but just the love of the ride, you know, the machine itself, the, you know, the noise, the sounds, you know, the freedom of riding, you know, I think is what kind of intrigues all of us to the motorcycle itself.
Yeah. No, I would say so as well. So what transitioned you from just loving bikes to want to turn it into Nash Motorcycle Company?
So when I was in high school, I had a love of like racing. Like I actually wanted to have a race team. I was like, dude, it'd be so rad to have like a race team someday, and like, you know, either old vintage car racing.
Yeah.
And
No, you keep saying cars. What kind of cars are we talking? Are we talking like hot rods,
I
customs?
always thought, like, had this picture in my mind of like vintage, like doing like old vintage racing cars. But then, you know, I got into like the performance stuff more in high school, so I was like, maybe like just like a full-on race team would be cool.
Yeah.
And I even went to a bunch of races with some guys I knew, like for the like smaller, you know, indie style, you know, level stuff, and kind of started dipping my toes into that a little bit. But then I got into bikes, and I was like, okay, well, this is cool. Like, you know, what am I going to do here? Do I want to do automotive, or do I want to do like, you know, do I want to go into the motorcycle thing? And then I just, you know, had this vision of having a motorcycle business and building custom bikes, and then finally got to that point where I was able to do it and just dove completely in and went full time into it and spent 16 hours a day at the shop. And
I understand that.
And you know, and have built, you know, and that's pretty much been my bread and butter for the last 25 years.
Heck yeah, no, I think that's pretty rad. Bike that put Nash Motorcycle Companies on the map.
I don't think it's just one bike. I mean, we you know, I built a lot of bikes at the beginning. I would say probably one of the things that transitioned the most was, you know, we were building custom bikes, and I got into building parts, you know, and we had like one pair of handlebars that we did for a panhead that we built, and that was the gimp hanger pair of handlebars that we have now. That's like our signature handlebar. And I took that bike to an Easy Rider event, and a guy was like, hey, can you build me that same pair of bars? And I'm like, sure. And then another guy at the show asked the same thing, and I built those couple of bars, and I'm like, well, I should probably throw a couple of these up on eBay.
Yeah.
Threw a couple pair up on eBay, and they sold right away. We threw up a website, and within like a couple of years' time, we were selling hundreds of pairs of handlebars.
Now, what's the difference between handlebar number one on how you made it compared to handlebar number 1,000 something where you're at right now?
You know, not a whole lot different. I mean, we're definitely a lot more refined now. I mean, you know, the first pair of bars I built was like, I didn't have any kind of jigs or anything. It was like set it up on a bench and just kind of measured and tacked it together. And I think we even did them with a wire feed. Now it's like everything's done with, you know, TIG welded and jigged up, and, you know, are, you know, built like obviously at a, you know, a lot more professional level. So, I mean, there's looks wise, they don't look a whole lot different with the gimp hanger, but, you know, manufacturing, we can crank out a lot
Knock
more
them
of
out
them.
now.
Now, and that, and we have, you know, dozens of other designs now of, you know, some traditional stuff, some unique designs that we have, and, you know, and then the parts line grew. So it's always been this, like, you know, custom bike builds are kind of the real enjoyment, and that kind of makes the whole, you know, marketing part of it fun, and then parts come out of those bikes that get built. So it's always that toss up, but,
What's your favorite part that you like the most?
I mean, I love the tools. Definitely love the tools. They just, it's cool creating something from scratch that is a tool. And I always had it in my head when I was a kid, like to build some kind of tools, and like being able to make a hammer and then finally be able to use that product.
So these are actually, I mean, besides them looking rad, this is a usable hammer.
Oh yeah.
I could beat the tar out of it.
Oh yeah, fully functional. Like
I love that.
any of this stuff. It's not just decorative.
Yep. No, see, that's what matters to me right there. Is like with my leather, I make things that can be used and just used and used and used over and over again, and so that's important to me. And if I believe I'm correct, all of this is American made.
Yeah, 100% American made. Yeah.
Right at your shop.
Yep. Even the wood is made in Tennessee.
Nice.
Grown and chopped and lathed down in Tennessee.
Yeah. And I dig that you guys did the stripes on there. Yep.
It's
That's
all,
pretty
all
rad
hand
looking.
burnt stripes. And
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
crazy enough, a few years ago I started a software company.
Software?
Software.
What are you doing with software?
So, you know, it's one of those things that was kind of an inspired idea where I just wanted to have a place that I could collect my life's history. I've done all these cool things. I've been all these places. I've met all these great people, but where is that recorded? Where is it written down?
Yeah.
And I realized that I don't have any of that. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and jumped into what they had for software out there, and there wasn't anything that fit what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm building some software. And so we've been doing
That's
this
rad.
for almost 6 years now.
Yeah.
And that's actually been like a big part of my life's focus is that in the last 6 years.
And we thought that the change of location, because we're also going to be in a new shop talk, we're going to be interviewing my good friend 𝐿𝐥𝐞, and so he's kind of sitting in on this one with us. But we're to the point in shop talk now where I asked just some very specific questions, and it's just questions that I've asked almost everybody that I've had on shop talk. But the very first one. So how old are you now?
45.
45. So in 45 years of experience on the earth, and I'm pretty sure, and as we've kind of already talked about, you've had a pretty fun life, pretty interesting life. You've gone places, done things, right?
Definitely.
So with that being said, what would you go back and tell your 9-year-old self?
Probably just to enjoy it more.
Which part?
All of it.
Yeah.
Not worry so much. Enjoy the little things.
Anything that stands out in particular that you wish you would have enjoyed more?
Man, I don't know. I had a pretty good childhood and absorbed that pretty well. I think one of the things would be my kids, like when they were younger.
Yeah.
Like especially, you know, that there's always that stressful time of when you're having kids and you're, you know, kind of young in marriage and you know, we now get to take so much footage of our children. But like even my kids 10 years ago, we didn't have the capabilities like we do with the phones we have. And so I find myself now more than ever filming little short videos.
Yeah.
Because when I look back, I enjoy those little short clips that are 60 seconds long of
Yep.
my kids, and I wish I would have done more of those and just really absorbed them being that age more. Like me and my wife actually talk about being grandparents and how exciting that will be, just to have some little ones again that are, our blood to be able to, I mean, I love kids anyways and having kids
Yep.
around and stuff, but that's probably one of the ones that would stand out the most.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. Grandkids are so much better than kids.
Yeah.
So much better. But it's probably an age thing in all reality, because same deal. I mean, my oldest boy, he turns 30 this year.
Wow.
So back then it was literally, 35 millimeter cameras when he was a kid,
Right.
And technology is just amazing of what it can do now with things. And so I actually really can appreciate that a lot. But, nowadays when you have grandkids, you're worried about them, don't get me wrong. But I get my grandkids all jacked up. They're on Mountain Dew and treats, and then I send them home.
Yeah. And I hear that, and I think it's that part of, like, I have all this greater knowledge now, and I feel like I did a decent job with my kids raising them in a way that they kind of get to live the American dream, like it's like when we grew up, people would always tell you, oh, dream, go have big dreams, do whatever you want. But then they would say, oh, well, there's limitations to that.
Yep.
And I don't believe that anymore. Like, it's like if you raise a child doing something, like, you can have them doing amazing things by the time they're pretty young. And if they want to accomplish something, they can do that. Whether it's something physical, whether it's something mental, whether it's something financial, any of it. And, that being passed on to future generations is how stuff grows, compared to the bigger world that says, oh, no, you can't do stuff. You have to stay in this box.
Yeah.
You have to live in this box, and you have to do that thing your entire life, and that's it. And I just don't believe in any of that anymore.
Well, I like that quite a bit, and it actually reminds me of skateboarding. So I grew up skateboarding. Even though I grew up, literally my house was from me to the sidewalk from the beach. I grew up skateboarding, and kids nowadays, there's kids that are 5 years old that are doing better tricks than than I could do now, even if I stayed skateboarding that whole time.
Yeah.
And so it amazes me, because and that just resonates with what you just said. So, to be able to have that crossover to whole different things, and for kids to know that, literally, the sky really truly is the limit.
Yeah.
Nothing can hold you back. So we're sitting here. This is actually a helicopter that they're sitting in. It's one of Kurt's helicopters. This one's primarily used for what, Kurt?
Search and rescue work.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And so with that, you've been all kinds of places as well with the search and rescue stuff.
Yeah. Been all over the country, I think.
and out of the country.
Yeah. Yeah. A few times out of the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So we're kind of. It's a funny thing. We got three chopper guys, all different kinds of choppers.
Yeah.
That's kind of a cool thing.
No, it is pretty cool. And actually, how did you guys meet?
Yeah, what's your version of that story?
Yeah, we'll hear both sides.
So I met a friend of his, Jeff Hill.
Okay.
And he was living up in Vancouver. I went up there to see Jeff. Me and Jeff became really good friends with another company I had. And I went up there to see Jeff, and he took me over to Nash. Because I fell in love with, Tabor had built a bike, the number 9 bike. And that was the coolest motorcycle I'd ever seen in my life. And I had to see it. And it was there in the shop when it was there. So I had to go see that bike.
See, I never heard that before. And the way that I remember the story is that I was hiking up in the mountains, and Kurt actually rescued me in this helicopter.
Yeah.
Now, did he rescue you physically, or was it emotionally in your heart?
It was actually emotional. It was, like, when he came to my shop, I needed that uplift, and no, that's about right. I think that's how it went down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's pretty rad. Now, I know you have one of Tabor's bikes at your house, right?
Yeah, I have 1.5.
Oh, dang, 1.5. That's even better than one.
He started another bike for me. I have to finish it. I have not finished it.
Now, is that the one that I'm doing the seat on? Okay.
Yep.
See, I haven't done that either.
Yeah.
Now, what do you, I mean, I know you said that it was kind of more your bars that started off, that kind of made Nash explode, right? But do you have a favorite bike that you've built?
I have two favorite bikes. There's a bike, 𝐿𝐄𝐤𝐤𝐞 is one of them that I built. Shovel head, an SNS shovel head, like 5-speed kick-only transmission, completely custom-built frame. But I built that bike for a customer, but he was like, just do whatever you want with it. And so I built it for myself to ride.
Yep.
And I wound up riding, I wound up putting about 10,000 miles on that bike that summer.
Dang.
Rode from Vancouver, Washington to Southern California, and then all the way to North Carolina from there, and just all over the place that summer. And it was, it's just like, you know, that bike just fit me, and it was great. So the bike I have currently now is, it's a 1940 knuckle, but it's not an actual 40 knuckle engine. I have like an SNS engine in that one as well, and Baker 6-speed. But it's like the bike I wanted to build for like 15 years, and I just wanted to have something I could ride fast and hard, and the engine and transmission would hold up, and but it's got a 1940 frame and a bunch of other cool parts, so it's kind of like pieced together. And I kind of built it so that it wasn't cool enough to sell. Yeah. Kind of like, you know, so it was just kind of beat up.
The hard part is those are the ones that usually people want the most.
Yeah, I haven't had too many people, like, I don't even think I could give this bike up if I wanted to, because my oldest son would be like, nope.
Heartbroken.
You're not, oh yeah, it would kill him. So that's the one. Those two bikes have kind of been my favorite. I mean, I've had some others along the way, but those stand out the most.
Well, and we'll post, actually in the video, right here and right here are the bikes that he was just talking about. And so what's some knowledge that you could pass on with your 45 years on this earth to somebody else watching this right now?
Oh man.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, literally.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a whole lot of great knowledge with any of that. I think as I go throughout life, the more I think I got it figured out, the less I have it figured out. And I think that's with everything in life. You know, you get into something and you start off and you feel like you're very inadequate, and you get to a point where you feel like you're pretty adequate, and then, you know, everything flips and you realize how much you really just don't know about life, about things, about all of it. So I think, if anything, it's staying humble. Staying humble, and, you know, staying true to, you know, who you are, and the things that you know are true, no matter what happens in the world. I always joke with my wife about, we joke about this all the time, because, you know, I love the story of the time machine story, you know, of like, you know, he gets in the time machine and everything is just changing around him, and he's just in his own little environment. And I feel like in my 45 years, it's always been like that. Like, I have my faith, I have my beliefs, I know what's true, and I know the things that nobody could ever take away from me. And I feel like it's a time machine. You know, I see all these people get married and divorced, and, you know, they start businesses and shut them down, or try to do big things, and they give up and they don't try. And you know, friends that come and go throughout your life. I mean, it could be so many different things. And but I always kind of keep my own little environment, you know. And you know, like I said, me and my wife joke about it, because it's you know, we're always in our own little bubble that we create, and we try to keep that very tight, and stay very true to that.
So is that the glue that keeps you together?
Yeah, that, and again, you know, our faith and our belief. You know, that's what keeps us going, and you know, always keeping each other in check, and just trying to keep our little family that we have, you know, in that environment, so that we don't you know, we don't veer too far off the track.
Yeah. Now, Kurt, you don't just have this one helicopter, right? And you do multiple things with helicopters.
Yeah, we have several.
So what's something that you could tell us? Tell us a quick little story about something related to the helicopter that you've experienced or done or whatever, so that people kind of get an idea for when you're on Shop Talk what to look for.
I guess I've done every type of flying you can do, but offshore oil rigs. Never wanted to go do that.
No,
No, but
you don't want to land on one of those.
nah, that work doesn't interest me. It seems pretty boring. It's the same scenery all day, right?
Yeah.
Sailing blue water. So, yeah, but every other kind of flying, I don't know. It's made the world real small.
Yeah.
That makes sense. The
Yeah.
world's not very big. Everybody talks about this big world. You start flying, it's very little. It's not very big, you know.
Well, and you were in the military as well, correct?
8 years with the Navy.
Okay. So that open blue water that you saw so much, maybe that's why you don't want to do offshore.
that could be, but believe it or not, I didn't spend as much time in the water as you would think.
Yeah.
And that was my whole job. And it's like the Navy just said, this guy's too dumb to be close to water, so drowned or something.
Well, I doubt that, knowing you as well as I do. Okay, well, Tabor, we always end our videos with kind of rolling out the red carpet for you. Anything you want to talk about or bring up, or anything you have going on that you want to go over?
I mean, just keep an eye on Nash Motorcycle Company and the new stuff we have coming, and then the software I was talking about. Keep an eye out on the Nash Motorcycle website and our Instagram and all of that to see when that's going to be launching, and come check that out.
Sweet, man. Well, I appreciate you being on Shop Talk.
Yeah, thank you.
We will actually be 100%, we'll be doing a part 2 to this, but actually in your shop.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, well, I'm Byron. This is Tabor. That's Kurt. This is bdiamondleather and Shop Talk. Have a rad day, everybody.
Hey, real quick before
Yes.
you turn it off. So you guys talking about the name of the church. If you're a gangster, you'd say you're Mormon. If you're not, then you're a member of the church. See, the tough guys in the Mormon church call themselves Mormons.
That's why you
We're
called yourself a
rebels.
Mormon.
Dude, that's it. That's it.
We're just rebels.
We're rebels.
You know,
You ever been arrested?
you know, that I hadn't been arrested up until about, what is that, 24 hours ago? And I got arrested. I'll make it sound as bad as possible. I was trying to get a gun through security at LAX.